Vail Resorts, they are paying 40% of this restoration fee, this restoration cost. Now, the community did take this opportunity. They did take the opportunity of the $249,000 coming from the settlement from Vail Resorts to make this project much bigger and better. And I'll say from what we've learned in the meeting, it makes sense that Vail Resorts is not paying for all this. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us here on the Restored Lands podcast. My name is Henry Passerini. I am the host of the show. Today, we've got an episode that's going to be bringing you up to speed and giving you an update on the Vail Gore Creek petition and the awareness campaign, which is really what this is. First things first, though, I do have a quick announcement. We have been covering the pesticide liability shields, which is a big thing right now. We did recently say that September 2nd was the deadline to have a voice. Exercise your call to action if you want to. It's actually the 30th of this month, so if you would like to have a voice, there is still time to act on that. Our previous episode is all about that. I highly recommend checking it out. It's really not that long of an episode. It's pretty informative, as well as an article that we just put out from our college writer in Michigan. She put out an article called Pesticide Liability Shields, a Battle Between Corporate Interests and Earth's Health. So I recommend also checking that out. It is a quick 4 or 5 minute read, and it brings you into the conversation of what this is about. This will really introduce you to what's going on, why it matters, and also what you can do. There's a link to the call to action on the bottom of this article as well. So let's get into what this is about. Again, this is going to be an update on the awareness campaign. So last week, the final week of August, we were in Vail. They were having a natural resource damages trustee meeting. And we learned a lot about, or I should say we learned more about what's going on with this effort, as well as some other things that they were talking about, which was neat. It was neat to see kind of a different side of this work. But anyways, for those of you guys that don't know, I'll give you a quick overview of what this campaign is about. So what this is, this whole Vail Gore Creek petition thing, it's basically an awareness campaign. And the petition is really trying to hold Vail Resorts, corporate ski monopoly, multi-billion-dollar corporate ski monopoly, to a higher standard in taking accountability for their environmental pollution and negligent impacts. And this has been something that has been going on for quite some time now, and we detail that. This has been going on, what we cover at least, from the 1999 until now. And the big thing is that this is a problem that has been persistent, and it's picking up speed in the 2020s. So it's not aligning with who they say they are. They've got an epic promise is what it's called, and that's really like their sustainability initiatives, their stewardship initiatives, and it's just not really aligning with that. So this Gore Creek spill, is a great way to draw attention to that. And the Gore Creek spill, what that is, in 2021 in September, there was a snowmaking spill accident where Vail Mountain released 2 million gallons of toxic tainted water into the Gore Creek, and it killed over 100 fish. It damaged the ecosystem. It killed countless microinvertebrates, and clearly Vail was just not acting, and Vail Resorts was not acting proficiently. I mean, this was found out 3 days after the fact at like a party or something like that. There was like a community get together, and that's when people started to see these dead fish, and they started to investigate this. So yeah, the big thing, Vail Resorts, they are paying 40% of this restoration fee, this restoration cost. Now, the community did take this opportunity. They did take the opportunity of the $249,000 coming from the settlement from Vail Resorts to make this project much bigger and better. And I'll say from what we've learned in the meeting, it makes sense that Vail Resorts is not paying for all this. Now, we've never claimed that they should be paying for all of it. We have said that they could be easily, but it's not a stance that we're taking. We never called for them to pay more money for this, as we already understand that all the funds are allocated for this project already. But still, the big picture of what this petition is about is trying to hold corporate interests accountable for the way that they operate in our natural resources. it's still very valid. So yeah, this was a $617,000 project. Vail Resorts is paying 40% of it with a settlement. It was a $275,000 settlement. $249,000 is going to the project. $26,000 is going to, I think it's the water board control or something like that. Now, you also have Eagle Valley Trout Unlimited, who is getting a grant from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, $200,000 grant from them. They are also kicking out $67,000 from their own organization, as well as the town of Vail is allocating $100,000 of their annual budget for this project. So you see that it's more than just Vail Resorts having a hand in this restoration. And really the big thing here is Vail Resorts is just not being the stewards that they claim to be. And we have a ton of information about that. And we're not going to get into that in this episode, but if you want to hear about it, episode 1 is your place to go. We've got a Vail Gore Creek petition webpage on the website, which is kind of like the homepage for that. It links you to all the podcasts that talk about it, the articles, really everything that you need to know. It also links you to the petition itself. So for those of you guys who haven't signed that or shared it, make sure to do that. That really helps us out. Why don't we get into it with that? So quick update on the petition and the petition efforts. We have over 250 signatures. We're still not quite where we want to be. It's really reliant on getting it out there. We've also been going out to farmers markets. We've also been doing like community engagement, talking to the community about this, what we're doing. We've got great feedback from it. Great feedback. Okay, so on to the meeting. Now, final week of August, we attended the Natural Resource Damages Trustee quarterly meeting. This was a meeting that they did up in Vail. Normally they do them in Denver, but once a year they like to go up to a place where they are doing work, which is one of these places is Vail. And they talked about the Gore Creek spill. They talked about some other things, but there was also some people from the public there, which was great to see. Most of the people, in fact, all the people had a hand in this project, but there were people from the public at this meeting. There were people, the Eagle Valley Trout Unlimited, the town of Vail was there, Watervation, which is the company that's going to be doing this project, the restoration project. Restored Lands was there, and we also had the Attorney General was there. Before the meeting, I actually spent the night. My dad was in town. He was here for my birthday, and we decided to come to Vail for the meeting. And the night before, we stayed in the village. The night before, or evening before, afternoon before, we went, got some bikes. We rode the Gore Creek Trail, which is a trail along Gore Creek. We went through the golf course, not through the golf course, but past the golf course, and past the golf course on the other side of where we were was where this incident is, or the project is taking place. So anyways, we got to see the creek. We got to see kind of the area that we're representing, and it was neat because I've personally, I've lived around the area, but I haven't spent too much time in Vail. I've been for the GoPro games and things like that, but when I was living there, I really hadn't spent that much time. So it was nice to see that, and just see a little bit more of the area that we're doing work around. And once they talked about the Gore Creek spill, that's kind of when the public left and they finished up with the meeting. And then after that is when we went and saw the site visit. So we did a site visit of where they're going to be restoring this, which was really cool. That was one of the main draws of why I wanted to go to this meeting, was because we're going to actually get to see where they're doing this project. And we learned more about it. And it was just really great and informational for us. So what people don't know, there's a lot of things that people don't know, and one thing that we have not talked enough about during this campaign is the fact that urbanization has played a big role in the creek's decline, a big role. In fact, you could say it's largely the reason for its decline over time. And while we have covered that, that's kind of what this episode is about. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more and talking about some more details about that. And another thing that a lot of people don't know is the fact that when this area was being developed, so in I-70, the interstate that runs through that valley, and Vail's golf course where it created or constructed, they actually had to deconstruct the creek. So Gore Creek went from switchbacks to a straight, long, deep channel. And that's where a lot of the problems came from, was I believe the fact that the water was really not moving through there. And I'm going to actually try and have Pete on. He is the watershed specialist with the town of Vail. He's got a lot of great information. He was there talking at the meeting. So if we can get him on to talk about some of this, that would be really awesome. I have invited him on. We'll see what he says. But if not, we still have a lot of great information that we're going to be bringing you, and throughout the time from now until when the project begins, there is going to be more planning going on that we will be learning about as well. So anyways, yes, when this area was constructed, they had to deconstruct the creek, which caused a lot of problems. And you can say that the town of Vail and the community itself has had a large role, like I just said, in this pollution of the creek. So that could be why maybe there was no greater push to get the resort to pay for all of this, because when you really look into it, the community does have, their part to do in this too, which was something that I learned as well, is the community, there was some convincing, I guess, that needed to be had for the community to understand just how bad this issue was, and the fact that it's not all the resort, it's not from mining, it's not from some other reason, it's from the presence of the people being there. And yeah, you can argue that Vail Resorts is the reason for that presence. It still doesn't take away from the fact that the people need to be aware of what's going on. And it comes from the runoff, the pesticide runoff, the stormwater runoff. It comes from all the development around the watershed and what comes with that. Like, all of this is coming down into the creek. And when you think of, or rather understand, the water on this planet as the blood of planet Earth, you really start to understand just how important it is. Because if you were to get something in your blood, you're going to have a problem. So if you're going to get something in the Earth's blood, there's going to be a problem. And that's what we're seeing here. And that's why this waterway has been impaired since, I think it's 2012. This is gold medal waters. This is where you can go and catch all 4 species of trout. And it's impaired from all of this, as well as the golf course. I think that's something that goes overlooked, is the golf course has had, you could argue, and I'm arguing, the golf course has had a role in this pollution. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't know any golf courses that don't use chemicals to treat, their property there. So a lot of that's running into the creek as well. That's right next to the creek. You also have I-70, which is right there, which I don't know how much that's ever talked about, and I don't know how much, if any, runoff ever gets in from I-70. But still, you've got a lot going on right there at the water. And if I didn't already say this, the golf course is owned by the town of Vail. It's managed by the Vail Recreation District. So this is owned by and operated by the community there, if you want to say that. But it's owned by, it doesn't have anything to do with the resort. So it's starting to make sense. Like, it's not all the resort. It's not all the resort that is that's having this problem. They kicked it off, but yeah. So the restoration project, let me tell you a little bit about that. What I learned about the restoration project, it's going to be done by Watervation. They are based out of here, out of Salida, which is where we're based out of. So that's pretty neat. The guy from Watervation, he got up and talked a little bit. In fact, one of our last Instagram posts, we posted a carousel. He's, I think, the first one on there. We're in front of the river. He's talking about it. This was during the site visit. And it was neat because there was a handful of people there. There was more people there than there was at the meeting. But the project itself, it's actually only going to be 600 yards of river frontage. Now, those of you that remember this, when this happened, this damaged 1.5 miles of Gore Creek. So I thought that was interesting. But I guess that's just what needs to be repaired. That's where the restoration needs to be undertaken. While 1.5 miles was harmed, the problem issues lie just beyond the golf course, just beyond that deep trench of water. And also, to my surprise, which I guess I never really thought about it, but it's only going to take about a couple months for them to do this whole project. But there's going to be, like I was hearing, there's going to be some restoration and work done around the golf course, I believe, in some ways to get, to sustain this restoration. Because, they don't want to do this project and then a couple years down the road or at some point we're kind of back in the same boat. So there is going to be some more work around that. And quickly, who Watervation is, they are a stream restoration company. They work from Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska. They provide innovative solutions to stream restoration problems by going out collecting data. They develop restoration designs, and then they oversee the construction. So they do watershed assessments, watershed planning, and stream restoration design. So yeah, as you can see, it's not all the resort here. It's the community that has a role in this. And it's great to see everybody kind of having a hand in some way or another, whether it be just by understanding the issue or actually undertaking the project. It's great to see so many different hands aware of this. But yeah, like at the end of the day, this is all good. You know, it's all good. You got community coming together to understand, to right their wrongs. You got habitat restoration set to begin. This is going to begin, which I didn't say, next year around this time. So September around this time, once the water is not so high and heavy, it's lower flow, they'll be able to do this project. Now, what did I get out of this? They are very business side over there. We're more the advocacy piece for sure. They're more the business side. You know, I've talked to a couple of people about what we're doing, and it was all good responses, but it was like, oh, okay, you know, cool. Not like, oh, yeah, good. So, you know, everybody on my side that I talked to, that's the kind of the response, but on their side, it's definitely more business side, which was cool. It was respectable to see. And yeah, I mean, we need all the ends of the spectrum to come together on this. You know, there was Colorado Parks and Wildlife officers there at the restoration site visit. You had us there, you had the public there, you had the town there. So it's great to see advocacy come together. It's great to see action come together. And, you know, we'll kind of see where we're at in 1 year's time, because while I'm not so stoked that it's taken so long to get a project done, it's nice to see that this is finally happening. And as to why it's taken so long, it was supposed to, at least from what all the information said, was this project was supposed to happen this year around this time. Well, it just said around this year. And after talking to the watershed specialist in the town of Vail, basically the attorneys, I guess, determined this timeline. They didn't really quite understand everything that this entails. So they didn't quite get that right, but I guess they weren't too far off. This will be happening next year around this time. Okay, so that's pretty much the update. We've got the project happening in 1 year's time. It's going to be 600 yards of river frontage. It's going to be just beneath the golf course, which has its own problems, which has been reconstructed, or the creek around the golf course and the interstate has been reconstructed during its development back whenever it was, probably a long time ago. We'll learn about the community who had to get on board with this and understand that this was a problem of their doing. And we also recapped what the whole petition effort is about. So if you guys like what we're doing, if you guys like this effort here, make sure to go check out the petition, sign the petition, share the petition, like the show, share the show, follow us. It really helps us out. We're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on Spotify, YouTube. So make sure to give it a like, give it a share, and let your friends know about this here. Now, also, we are doing our monarch butterfly repopulation effort. So those of you guys that want to get into that, check it out. We got a lot going on there. We even have some free seeds if you guys want to check those out. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This was a quick update. We will see you guys probably next week for a more normal episode. And hopefully we'll be able to get Pete on some point this fall. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one.